Bull, the Guardians won. Take it away.
Great win for the Guardians last night. I don't know how many of you saw it. We did a Zach.
I saw it.
Nice. Zach and I did the Guardian show this morning, and we had really big numbers, Mike, live numbers. It was one of the best we've had consistently through the show. I think, now that we're approaching the playoffs and the Guardians are going to make the playoffs, people are getting pretty excited. They still have a chance for the number one seed.
Mm-hmm.
They're only half game behind the Yankees for the number one seed. They have to finish ahead of the Yankees because the Yankees have the tiebreaker. They're 5 games up in the division. The magic number to clinch a playoff spot is 3. So any combination of 3 wins by the Guardians and losses by the Tigers, who are the best team out of the playoffs, any combination of that, and the Guardians will clinch a playoff spot. Their magic number for clinching the division, I believe, is 7. Let me do it right here, 151. The most the Royals could win is 93. Yeah, it's 7 because the Royals have the tiebreaker. So any combination of 7 wins and Royals 7 losses, they clinch the division. They're still battling the Yankees for the top spot. You're still trying to hold off Houston for that 2 spot and a bye.
How many games? That's one
I believe they're up 5 on Houston.
Okay, yeah.
Now remember, they play Houston the final 3 games of the season.
No.
And if Houston swept them, they would have the tiebreaker. So if they finished tied, Houston would end up as the 2 seed. You can't have that. Hopefully you've clinched at least that 2 seed before that series, so it doesn't come down to that. They've got 2 more games with Minnesota. Then they go to St. Louis for a 3-game series. Then back home for 2 at Cincinnati, and then they finish up with 3
How are the
against
Cardinals?
Houston. The Cardinals are around 500. What are they, Mike? Game over 500, 2 over?
The Cardinals?
They're a middling team.
Yeah, they're right around 500. The official record,
I'll say they're 2 over.
2 overs your guess?
Yeah.
Bull, you are wrong. They're
What?
dead even. 500 on the dot.
Okay,
75 and 75.
All right, they must have lost their last couple of games.
I don't know
They're a
how-
mediocre team. They're not that good. Cincinnati's not very good. Yeah. Minnesota's okay, but they're not playing. I think Minnesota's going to blow that last wild card, and I think the Tigers are going to get in.
Really?
Oh yeah, they're only a game and a half back in Minnesota. I like the way they're playing, and they're playing Kansas City right now. They beat Kansas City last night. Detroit's pitching very under the radar. Their pitching's been fantastic lately. They're only 2 games in the loss column behind Minnesota, so they got a shot. The White Sox, by the way, have won 3 in a row.
I
saw that.
They're still going to break the record.
Saw that.
They have to go. They have to win 7 of their final 13 games to not break the record, which they won't do. But anyway,
I would tell you what. With this Manzardo late home run.
Yeah,
if he's
that was huge.
If he's going to continue to hit, I'm really coming along to this lineup now. Like, you got some hitters in the lineup now. You think about it. You got. If Quan ever
he was just starting to hit before this little back injury. He had walked 6 games in a row.
Okay.
He had hit 4 of 6.
But you got Jose, Josh, Manzardo, Noel, Thomas.
Jimenez has been a little better lately.
Jimenez,
Thomas
Fry.
has been great lately.
Like, it's
Fry's still struggling, but Ramirez and Naylor have been righting the ship. Listen, Manzardo should be playing every day against righties. He didn't start on Saturday or Sunday. I don't understand that, especially Sunday, because the Rays started Taj Bradley. And
is he DHing or is he playing?
He's mostly DHing. Naylor's just more comfortable at first base, so they're sticking with him there. There are some guys that just don't like to DH for whatever reason. It's just strange to me, but
whose glove is better?
I mean, I haven't seen enough of Manzardo in the majors to know for sure, but Josh Naylor's not a good defensive player, so I'll assume Manzardo's better. He's younger. He's in better shape. I'm going to assume he's better, but I don't know that for sure because I haven't seen him play enough.
Right. I thought you had the minor league, the minor league analysis.
Minor league advanced stats on defense are kind of questionable.
Really?
So, I don't know, but I'm
Did you
assuming
see this
Manzardo.
quote from Manzardo after the home run, by the way?
Well, he was emotional, and Stephen Vogt was crying in the postgame.
I was going to lead to that.
Yeah.
Give me that.
Crying about what?
Real men cry, boys.
Yeah,
I know you guys are football players.
I cry all the
Sometimes
time,
you're not in
dude.
touch with your feelings. Dustin, in recent years, has gotten in touch with his feelings. He's become a more emotional guy. I like it. We got to get you there, Tyler.
I'm dead inside.
No, you're not.
Well, Bull, about
Me and
Manzardo
Jason are
getting
dead.
emotional,
No.
about
Jason
Vogt
is,
getting emotional about, like,
What happened?
he was just so happy for him. And Manzardo, you could take this quote. He was talking about after hitting the home run, what's flooding through his mind, and he said, quote, "I floated a little bit. I don't remember all of it, honestly, just blacked out, living in the moment. knowing how much this mattered to Manzardo, seeing how Vogt reacted to it after the fact bowl.
Yeah.
I was already confident in the Guardians. I like their
Yeah.
chances, but I love to see that from the head manager. I mean, the manager, not head manager, but from the manager.
Yeah.
That kind of, I don't know, it just seemed like
Emotion.
It was cool to see, and I'm not sure it would have come off
And the whole team.
in the way that hit the way it did had it been someone else, but
Yeah.
it was just really cool last night to see it all come together.
Well, think about this. A year ago, a little more than a year ago, the Guardians trade Aaron Savali for Kyle Manzardo. A lot of the players were pissed because they were still in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the fans and a lot of the media, including Jay and others,
Jay
were
Crawford.
pissed, right? I wasn't pissed because I understood why they did it. I thought it made sense at the time, and we'll see in the long term. Savali hasn't been particularly good since they've traded him away. But Savali was popular in the locker room, and you know who one of his best friends is? Josh Naylor. Plus, Kyle Manzardo was brought in,
Same.
first baseman, and
And
the players were pissed last
And
year.
you know Naylor, they ain't about to pay Naylor anyway. No,
Probably not.
No, they
They're
probably not.
Don't you start that
Although he's
before.
going to be a weird one because he's a guy that is going to, in my opinion, he's one of these baseball players that will go off the cliff in a hurry in his 30s, and I don't think anybody's going to pay him a lot of money. But as good as he is,
How old is he?
he's younger than I think he's like 27. I don't think he's that old.
You talking about Naylor?
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
but he won't age well. Guys,
won't age
his
well.
body types don't
Hey.
usually age well.
Prince Fielder did.
No, he didn't.
No,
What are you
he
talking
didn't.
about?
No, he did.
At
all.
He did go
Yeah.
down.
He was here today.
Guy
Go
was like a
tomorrow.
superstar, then he got hurt, then he was gone.
Yeah, but dude, Naylor is a little chunky, but he's not like
He's not
Fielder
Prince
fat.
Fielder,
No.
but he's not.
He's more like Kung Fu Panda.
It's just his style of game doesn't get paid very.
He's 27.
His style of baseball. He's like as good as he is. Other teams don't look at him as like a big money player.
No.
He's clutch, and that helps. But he's a
like
one-dimensional
he's
player.
the perfect Guardians player.
He's a great Guardians player.
Yeah.
They should find.
You know what I mean? Like you got to find guys like that
Yes.
that don't cost you
Crazy
a boatload,
You gotta
Yeah.
coin
but
that.
they also provide what you need.
Leadership, energy,
Yeah, I mean
all
they
those
got like
things.
intangibles that you don't. I mean, there's a lot of great players in the game. We
Yeah.
know that, and he's a really good player.
Absolutely.
But he's not like a great
Not a superstar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's not
yeah,
a superstar,
yeah.
but that's okay. He's a great Guardians player.
Great guard. That is the most Dustin thing I've ever heard.
He's a
great
And
Guardians
by the way,
player.
that should just stick to everybody because it's a way to give somebody a backhanded compliment, but it's
It's
not
like
really,
saying, man, you would be really good in Iowa's offense. Man.
yeah, boy, man,
Right?
you would be
Anybody would.
anything besides an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
like you'd be like, man.
I mean, you'd be a great running back at Iowa.
yeah, you next up after Ricky Stancy. You were there.
Hey, man,
like-
Brad Banks.
he's like
That was rare.
he's like the equivalent.
Still is.
He's like a basketball equivalent, a baseball equivalent of Jared Allen, like borderline all-star, good player, flawed player, but you know what you're going to get from him, and that's what Josh Naylor
They
is.
kind of look related a little bit.
They could be related. I
They're
could
like
see them being
cousins.
related. Yeah, absolutely. But the Manzardo home run last night was huge. You're playing a division rival in Minnesota. They're trying to get into the playoffs. You're down 3-2, and then he hits that home run. But did you guys hear Hammy's call, by the way?
No, I
Did
didn't.
not.
Incredible.
Oh my! Is there any way we can play it? I should ask you before the show. That was a bad
Yeah,
job.
we had the video of the home. Can I put sound on with this, Ant?
If we can play it, because I thought it was one of his best calls ever.
Give me a second.
And
had a
the
lot
home
of
run.
good
Do you
ones.
guys remember in 20?
We'll give credit to TAM.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys remember? Was it 2013? It had to be 2013, right? When was it? I can't remember what year it was. When Giambi hit that home run against the White Sox. The
You
last
were
game of
there.
the season. I was there. Yeah. Now I'm drawing a blank on what
When
year it
like
was.
everyone left the game.
Right.
I want to say that had to be 13, 14?
I think it was 13, but
It was 13.
They won a bunch of games at the end of the season to get a wild card.
That was the year they played the Rays and Danny Salazar year.
That's
yeah.
right. Man, talk about a guy falling off a cliff.
David Price was picked, didn't he?
Yeah,
was David
another
Price.
guy who fell off.
Yeah,
the cliff.
another one.
I think they probably had Carl Crawford, who also fell off the cliff.
Wow.
But anyway.
Well, I got it. You want to hear?
Okay, yeah, listen to this call.
All right, this is gonna see if I gotta hit the button, hit two buttons at once. Ready?
WTAM.
This is Tom Hamilton. Oh, there we go.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back, gone! How about that? Majestic 2-run bomb to right by Kyle Manzardo off Minnesota's best. The pitch.
I got to say a couple things
Hit
here.
high.
As a fellow announcer, he's a play-by-play guy.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Oh, my
Number
God.
one. But the thing about him and what makes him what makes him so good is that he has so many of those moments.
Yeah.
And they're all just as good or better than they were before. I don't know, man. That was fantastic.
You know what makes it especially amazing? Because a lot of broadcasters can't get out of their own way.
Oh, he let it breathe.
He let it breathe.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
made
I know.
the call,
I immediately knew that. Yeah.
Made the call.
Get out of the way.
And then let it breathe. You heard the crowd noise.
And what's great is so like TV definitely can lay out because you got pictures.
Yeah. Although he wasn't on TV. Right.
That's
Oh,
my
yeah,
point,
right,
which is
yeah.
hard to lay out on radio.
Absolutely.
But because you got such great audio there with the crowd, yeah.
I mean,
dude, that was
nobody has a better feel.
fantastic.
I've got chills listening to that
I got
call.
some too.
Bro, this Bull was crying. Bull was over here. He was
Well,
just
you know,
like,
he's in touch with
he
his
was just
feelings.
like,
I am.
I started, he was like,
That was just when I heard that call. Shout out to McNeil who put that
When you're
together on Twitter. That was a great call and good job by Tom Hamilton. But that was a huge homer. And then Clase shuts it down again in the ninth. The Guardians bullpen again.
Our Cy Young closer.
He's not going to win it.
Why are you so negative, man?
I'm not negative. I love the guy.
I thought you were a Clevelander.
I'm being realistic.
What
He's
if he
not gonna win.
does?
That'd be great. I just know how these guys vote. He's going to fit. I bet
So
he finishes
Scooble's
second.
going to win?
Yeah, especially now that the Tigers are in the pennant race.
Yeah, I guess you got a point.
The guys, it's harder to be a great starter than a great closer. I mean, he's having Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer ever, never won a Cy Young. There's only been like 4 or 5 closers that have ever won a Cy Young, and all of those guys had strikeout numbers through the roof, which he doesn't have. Now, his ERA and his WHIP are, for those who don't know what WHIP is, that's walks and hits divided by innings pitched. His numbers in those two statistics are like insanely ridiculous.
I thought you was talking about cars.
Yeah, right.
Whip.
But he's not. I don't think he's going to win. Scooble is pitching tomorrow.
And let me ask you,
Yeah.
what happened? Now, what happened with Valera?
Oh, he ruptured his patella tendon.
Doing what?
I think just playing baseball.
That is
Yeah,
one
he
of the
went
worst
to
injuries.
jump. He went to. There was a ball hit out to the warning track. He was trying to rob a home run. I think this is what happened, if I remember. And I think he went to jump and something happened. I don't know. That's a bad injury.
I had one of those my senior year.
Oof, that's a hard one
You
to come
messed
back
up your
from.
patella?
Yeah, I got all the ACLs, the
Oh,
patellas, all them.
This
CLs.
guy's had so many injuries. I feel so bad for him. Like he's been
Him
on
and
the cusp.
Espino.
What's that?
Him and Espino.
Yeah, but Valera has been on the cusp of the big leagues for like 3 years, and every time it feels like he's about to get called up, he gets hurt. So it kind of sucks. But what's fascinating and looking ahead to the playoffs, because the Guardians are going to the playoffs, and they're almost definitely going to win their division. Looking ahead to the playoffs, a couple of things here. I feel like this is as wide open as we've ever seen. Now, baseball playoffs in general. Whether you guys, I know none of you guys are diehard baseball fans, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But more people watch the playoffs, right? Because it's
Yeah.
But one of the few advantages, maybe the only advantage that baseball has over football, and certainly over basketball, although basketball is now getting better with this, is that the playoffs are much more wide open. Mm-hmm. Anybody can win most years. But this year, there's not even a favorite. I mean, in Vegas, the Dodgers are the favorite. But their best pitcher's out for the year, Glass now. Clayton Kershaw, I don't know when he's coming back. They got a million injuries.
He got hurt again?
Again.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they got Ohtani, obviously, but...
Oh, he's pitching in the playoffs?
No, well, you know what? I don't think he's going to, but their manager, Dave Roberts, was asked about it, and he said maybe. I think they're just playing games.
How long has he been out? He's been out.
It's been a year.
Yeah, full year.
Usually it takes more than a year. I can't imagine. Even if he does, they'll pitch him
It's
out
not
of the
worth
pen.
risking it in case he hurts.
So their ace right now is, what is his name? Yamamoto?
I guess, but he just came off the injured list and he's missed 3 months. So I don't know, but when we go in these playoffs, it's wide open. And listen, the Guardians are flawed. The bottom of the lineup's not very good. Their starting rotation's got a lot of question marks. But I can go through every team and tell you their flaws. And here's what here's a few different areas where the Guardians are way better than all the American League teams. By far, they got the best bullpen. By far. It's not even close. Their ERA as a bullpen, I think, is like 260 something, which that's got to be one of the best of all time.
Isn't the Brewers like right behind?
The Brewers are second at 320. That's a half a run worse.
Oh, wow.
And they're second, and they're in the National League. Now, they're going to go to the playoffs, but they're in the National League. They run the bases as well, if not better, than any other team. They play defense as well, as if not better than every other team. So those are not the traditional things you look at as much. In the playoffs, you can get away with a starting pitcher going 3-4 innings. Look at what they did yesterday. Yet again, Matthew Boyd gets knocked out in the third inning. Bullpen, 6 1/3 or whatever it was, shutout baseball.
Well, I get scared by this. I get scared. You start off a game.
Yeah.
Opposing team, whoever you want to make it be, comes up, gets 3 runs.
Yeah, okay, that's an issue.
And then,
no doubt.
I'm like, I feel like in my stomach, I'm screwed the rest of the game.
That's an issue. They can't afford to fall behind big, obviously, early.
And 3,
you got to be able to get to that. No, but you got to be able to get to that bullpen with a lead. But if they can do it, if they can get 3 or 4 good innings from their starting pitchers, they're going to be in good shape. And I think they can win the World Series this year. I've been saying it for months, even with their struggles at times. And remember when they salvaged that last game against the Royals in that series?
You called it at the time, boy.
And I said at the time, we're going to look back at that as the returning point of the season. They've gone 12-6 since winning that game. And if they had lost that game, they were in second place. And now they're going to clinch the division probably before the end of the weekend. So it's been huge. And I think, you look at the Yankees, their bullpen stinks. It's terrible. You look at the Royals, their bullpen very shaky. The Orioles, their bullpen's very shaky. Now, those teams all have better number 1 starters than the Guardians. That's an advantage, no doubt. But the Guardians overall, when it comes to the pitching, and especially the bullpen, have a major advantage over all those teams. And none of those teams scare me. The Yankees do a tiny bit, but they wouldn't play the Yankees until the ALCS.
Let me ask you a question, Bull. I wanted to do this yesterday, but it's Monday after the game.
Yeah.
Time. In his 2 starts in September, Joey Cantillo has been really, really good.
Yeah.
Understand?
Better than real. I mean, he's been sensational.
12 innings pitched, 5 hits allowed, 1 run, 16 strikeouts, 1 walk. His ERA is a 0.75. Been terrific.
Yeah.
Matthew Boyd struggled of late. Alex Cobb's on the IL right now.
Yeah.
It's premature to put him into any kind of playoff rotation yet, but is there a chance if Cantillo keeps pitching? I mean, at this level, I'm expecting a drop off to some capacity. Could we be looking at Cantillo as their 3rd or 4th playoff starter potentially?
It's funny that you asked that because somebody asked us that on the Ultimate Guardian show today, the 50-minute edition, if you want to go back and check it out.
It's on our YouTube page. Go check it out.
It is. So we talked about that because all year we've been like, you can't rely, Joey Cantillo, he's not even, he's an okay prospect, nothing special. And he's looked like crap for most of the year when he's come up. But he's been so dominant in these 2 starts, I think there is a chance he could be their 4th starter in the playoffs. Now, if you ask me right now, will he be? I'll say no. But I think there is definitely a chance. And if you asked me that 2 weeks ago, I would have said, what are you, out of your mind? So I'll still say no, but I do think there's a chance depending on how things go. He's probably going to start 2, maybe 3 more, probably only 2 more games.
So your final 2 is Boyd and
Well,
Lively.
Boyd has struggled here. I mean, I think at this point, Lively's probably Bybee and Williams will even with Williams being up and down, they're going to start in the playoffs. The 3rd starter right now is probably going to be Lively, because he's kind of righted the ship. If Cobb is back, they might go with him, but he's pitched so little, I just don't think you can rely on him. I think either way, Cantillo has probably earned himself a spot on the playoff roster because in the playoffs you're going to have 13 pitchers. So I think he'll be one of the 13. I'll tell you somebody else we might see for the playoffs is Tristan McKenzie.
I was going to say you would start Cantillo over.
Well, I'm not starting Tristan McKenzie.
Under no
wait a minute. He been back since he been with the Clippers? He been good?
His last couple of outings, he's come out of the pen and he's pitched better. I've been saying this for weeks.
Put him in the pen.
Carlos Carrasco's career was a disaster early. He was awful early in his career with the Guardians, and they moved him to the bullpen. He had a great half a season in the bullpen, started the next year in the pen, got off to a great start, went into the rotation, and he was an all-star, borderline all-star pitcher the rest of his career until the last couple of years. I think we can see the same thing with McKenzie. I would put him in the bullpen for the playoffs. I'd start him in the bullpen next year, And when you feel he's 100, he has kind of worked off through his things. Because in the bullpen, it's just, in a way, when you're not, especially when you're not closing, it's an opportunity for a guy with great stuff, and he's got great stuff to just kind of cut it loose. You don't have to worry about pacing yourself for 5, 6, 7 innings. If you're going in there for 1 or maybe 2 innings, you just kind of let it all out. And he can throw hard,
but you gotta be able to throw strikes though.
Absolutely, and he did in his bullpen outings. We'll see what happens here. They have so many good arms. It seems like everybody they call up to pitch in that pen does well. It doesn't even matter. So they've done a great job, and I don't know. It was a great win, and cool to see the emotion from all those guys. And playoffs start in 2 weeks.